Alright guys and gals, we're back today working on the L.L.Bean Forester. Had 3 days of rain and then 2 days of me working on the house. So today will be a Subaru day. Oh my god, come on. So just went to Advance this morning and bought a brand new battery for this car. And what we're going to do today is compression test and cylinder leakage test. I know that's kind of redundant, but I'd like to do both just to know exactly what the health is of this engine before going any further on the project. Once the engine checks out, we'll go through and do a thorough inspection front to back of the car like I've done on patches and on the silver 2005 Forester. So without further ado, let's get into it. We've got some major rocker cover gasket leaks, as you can see from all the buildup. That actually might be oil filler neck O-ring leaking. Looks like someone's cleaned off the harness here, and this section maybe put a cam sensor in it. They might have done that when the time belt broke because they didn't know what the problem was. Might have been throwing a cam crank correlation code, not sure. But the rocker cover is nice and gross on this side too from leaking. So what I'm gonna do now is go ahead and pull out the spark plugs on this side, check compression on this bank, then pull out spark plugs on this side, check compression on this bank. When I do compression test for leak down test, I normally just remove one spark plug at a time. I know most people like to remove all four for less draw on the battery and less compression to fight against for the engine, but I'd rather not risk crap falling down in the cylinders. So I just like to pull one at a time, just the way I like to do it. So like I said, compression test will probably be first, so go ahead and get these sparking plugs out. On this 2005 Forester, we removed the battery and then the washer fluid reservoir to get to our spark plugs on the driver's side bank. One spark plug out, looking extremely worn. It is the correct NGK spark plug, but yeah, the electrode is severely worn down. Time for plugs in this thing. Let's go ahead and check compression. All right, got my remote starter button hooked up, got the compression gauge hooked up to about 5 pulls. We got right at 205 psi. Great. Now I'll remove the compression tester and we'll put the cylinder leakage tester in this cylinder and check leakage. So hose is in and tester is hooked up. What I like to do now is just spin it around until I don't hear any more air escaping from this nipple. That means we're at top dead center. Then we can hook our air supply up and monitor the amount of leakage between what we're inputting and what's holding in the cylinder. And also we can listen and check for any air escaping in the coolant system, indicating a head gasket issue, or coming from the oil filler or out the exhaust or through the intake, which would mean poor sealing rings, which I doubt we have with 205 pounds of compression, or we have a leaking or burnt exhaust or intake valve, depending on if it's coming out the exhaust or the intake manifold. So that's what I'm going to do now, is spin the engine over until we get to top dead center. Alright, so all I heard was a little bit of air coming from the crankcase, so a little bit of leakage from the rings, which isn't abnormal for 200 and something thousand miles. Wasn't seeing any bubbling in the coolant, wasn't hearing anything out the exhaust at the tailpipe, so no worry about the exhaust valves, wasn't hearing anything in the intake. So it looks like this cylinder's clean. We're going to move up to the next one and start over with compression, then cylinder leakage, and repeat our way around the engine. Another burn up oily plug. Try to blow some of that oil out before we do the test so they don't get falsely high readings due to, man, whoever did these rocker covers last hacked that all up. Oh, there is silicone gummed all down in the spark plug wells and all around. Ugh, gross. Alright, let's see what we got. A little bit lower, we got 195. I'm not sure. Man, I done screwed up. I didn't even pin open the throttle body. I wasn't even thinking about that. If it be an electric throttle body. Whoopsies. Alright, let's try that one more time. All right, we got about the same reading, about 205. All right, we got about the same percentage of leakage this time. 93, 94 out, 100 in. It's nice to have a little cordless compressor when not beside the shop doing this kind of work. So I'm gonna listen around, see if I see any leaks, see if I see any bubbles in the coolant, watching that, make sure we don't have an internal head gasket failure, and come back with any results. And on to the passenger side. All right, let's check this compression. While remembering to hold the throttle open this time. And just like the others, you got right at 205, 210. So, nice reading. Have quite a bit better reading on this cylinder. Got about a 96. Only place I'm hearing a leak is from the crankcase, so a little bit of the rings again. Just gonna sit here and let it run and see if I see any bubbles in the coolant. That would indicate an internal head gasket failure, but I think we're good. And to our last cylinder. Oh, that don't feel good. That spark plug is extremely tight. I hope someone's not cross-threaded it. It does not feel reassuring. Well, I'm afraid to see what this spark plug looks like. It's bad when you gotta get the super long 3/8 ratchet out to break out a spark plug. That thing was super tight. I got a feeling it was cross-threaded and this thing's gonna be all destroyed. Maybe not. It's rusted, which is weird. Don't know why it's rusted. But the threads look all right, which that makes me happy. Thought I was gonna be taking this head off and having to helicoil the spark plug spark plug hole. So yeah, Let's do our compression test and get this thing buttoned back up. Okay, you're not gonna be able to see this most likely due to the glare. Maybe you can. That piston is extremely clean to be 200 and something thousand miles, which makes me fear that we have an internal head gasket issue on this cylinder. If you have water or coolant leaking into the combustion chamber, that small amount of water heating that hot piston will break up any carbon buildup and essentially steam clean the internal, the inside of the combustion chamber. If we look over here, the cylinder in front of that, we do see much more carbon on this piston. It's not completely carboned, but there is a significant difference. I'll take a picture of this and put it in the video. All right, same compression at least as all the rest, right at 205, 210. So let's do the leak down test and cross our fingers and toes that we do not have a leaking head gasket and some kind of fluke has happened. 91. So it is the most leakage of any of the cylinders. Just like I said, we'll sit here and watch and listen. Don't see any bubbling in the coolant system yet. Hopefully I don't. Have a little bit coming through the crankcase as all the other four did, all the other three. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything. I think we're good. I'm probably gonna go get my spill-free funnel and hook it to the car and run the car up to operating temperature until the cycles fan up. Until the fan cycle twice and make sure we have no bubbling in the radiator. I'm not exactly sure why that cylinder is so clean. I'm not exactly sure why that spark plug was rusted, but cylinder leakage test and compression are good. And I didn't see air coming through the cooling system from the cylinder leakage test. If we had a head gasket issue, most of the time that's where it would be. It would be bubbling in the radiator. So like I said, I'm gonna put the spill-free funnel on there, run it, make sure I have no bubbling, and if I don't, I'm gonna call this a good engine. We're gonna put a set of spark plugs in it because it sorely needs them. They're very worn, and we're gonna put a new timing belt water pump kit on it. Probably put a set of rocker covers gaskets on it with spark plug well seals, and that hopefully will get it. Like I said, we'll go underneath the car, make sure everything else is good, but other than that and some fluid changes, I think we're good on this car. So we're gonna put it all back together now, and I'll come back if I've got anything else to share with you. So I decided to go ahead and pop off the throttle body and clean it because it's pretty daggum gross before I get all this back together. Might go ahead and pull off the PCV valve and give it a good cleaning to hold off until I can get a new one installed. As many oil leaks as we've got, I would assume the PCV valve is pretty clogged up on this car. All right guys, quick overview of the engine and the readings. Everything looking all right. Got the spill-free funnel on here, got coolant topped up, check the oil is good, clean the throttle body. Ready to go. Gonna start it up, let it run up to temperature, make sure we don't have any bubbling, and confirm 100% that head gasket is good. We didn't see any air in the coolant on the cylinder leakage test, but just to be double, triple sure, I'm gonna do this. So also haven't started it in a week. We don't have any white smoke or anything visible at the tailpipe. Like I said, I'm pretty sure that was just condensation and build up inside the exhaust burning out from it sitting for probably a year, a couple months at least. So Well, while I'm sitting here waiting for the car to warm up, I've made a horrific discovery. Whoever owned this car before I did was stupid enough to get it serviced at Walmart. I know it's Walmart before I even saw the sticker because of the writing in blue paint pen. They had to mark that the transmission was the transmission, because some moron drained it thinking it was the engine oil. As you can see, because they put a Fram oil filter on the transmission. That is coming off ASAP. God, I hate idiots. And I hate Walmart, and I hate Walmart Service Center. They hire any idiot off the street that has no business working on a car. Hopefully it hasn't messed up the transmission. I haven't driven it on the road, so I have no clue the condition of the transmission, but definitely going to be draining that and changing that filter. I checked the transmission fluid and it seemed odd. It didn't smell right and it didn't look right, so that has me worried. I hope they did not put engine oil in this transmission. Okay, so we've had the car running for, I don't know, 30 minutes now, and the temperature has fluctuated up and down, up and down. Thermostat's obviously open and closing. Thermostat just opened. As you see, it got up to 203. Now we're dropping down, 195. So thermostat's open and closing as it should, but the fans are not cycling, which is weird because it's like 80 something degrees out here, but I don't have the AC on, but it's not overheating. As you see, temperature is exactly where it should be, just a notch below halfway, down to 190, but we're, like I said, we keep going back and forth. Thermostat's obviously open and shutting. I'm not seeing any bubbles to speak of in the coolant. Everything is nice and calm. So I can go ahead and safely rule that we do not have a head gasket issue in this car. Well, we don't have an internal leaking head gasket. We might have a external leak underneath. I haven't checked underneath yet, which on the late EJ253, that was the failure, was an external leak where oil and coolant would leak externally between the block and head. Only really the EJ25D that came in the early Foresters and Outbacks really had an issue with internal gasket leaking with coolant getting in the combustion chamber. So with that said, I'm pretty sure we're good to go. I want to get that transmission drained and refilled a couple times, get that daggum Fram oil filter off there, put a Subaru filter back on it, and just look for any other issues. I looked at the CV axles while I had my head under there. All of them looked like they were great, no busted boots. Still need to check the ball joints, tie rod ends, things like that. Listen for wheel bearings, you know, the normal, but we'll do that in the next video. So thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you next time.